studied with Martha.
Martha would never quit. Martha, it was always the sense that we had to do more, that we had to do better every day, that we had to push as hard as we possibly could to accomplish as much as we possibly could. And because she was an artist who compelled and who led, she worked as a community. Dance remains a pure art form. That is to say that dancers do it simply in and of itself because they love to do it. It is simply then and there of the moment, and I think that this is the traditional standard definition of love.
A woman who has lived many things and who sees lines and colors as an expression of living might say something that a man can't. I feel there is something unexplored about women that only a woman can explore. Men have done all they can do about it.
Independent, passionate, strong-willed, Georgia O'Keeffe defied those who said art belonged to men.
The men didn't want me around. They wouldn't take a woman artist seriously. I would listen to them talk, and I thought, my, they are dreamy. I knew I could paint as well as some of them who were sitting around and talking.
Georgia O'Keeffe was the first really successful American woman artist, and her success had a great deal to do with both how she looked, who she was, tough and independent.
When O'Keeffe came to New York in 1915, there was not a single major painting by an American woman hanging on a museum wall. O'Keeffe found a champion in Alfred Stieglitz.
Finally, a woman on paper.
Alfred Stieglitz was a brilliant photographer as well as an influential art dealer. He was also married to another woman when he became O'Keeffe's mentor, promoter, and ultimately her lover. They defied convention by living openly with one another. It was in his galleries that O'Keeffe first gained recognition.
Yesterday, O'Keeffe's exhibition opened. The show is strong. One long, loud blast of sex. Sex in youth, sex in adolescence, sex in maturity. Sex as gaudy as 10 nights in a whorehouse.
I think O'Keeffe's paintings are profoundly erotic in the sense that life is erotic. A butterfly is erotic. A flower opening is erotic. I think that level of erotic fulfillment is in O'Keeffe's work, and our society is very hostile to that impulse.
O'Keeffe tried to deflect the sexual interpretations of her work.
When you took time to really notice my flower, you hung all your own associations with flowers on my flowers, and you write about my flowers as if I think and see what you think and see of the flower, and I don't.
I think it's fair to say that what she repudiated publicly, she encouraged or accepted privately. And she accepted it for a very important reason that makes her into the most contemporary of American artists. She knew, as she herself said, you had to get talked about in order to have your work sell.
O'Keeffe was certainly talked about. First there was her love affair with Stieglitz, then there was the unabashed sexuality of her paintings, and finally, there she was, nude, for all the world to see. Stieglitz had photographed her and exhibited the work in his gallery. The result was a scandal. 2 years later, she opened her next exhibit to unparalleled attention.
She in no way could be unaware of the fact that the following show in 2 years had people flocking to the gallery to see the works that were reputed to be the images in somewhat abstract form in painting of the sexually liberated artist who was also a free woman who was living with another woman's husband. I mean, for further scandal.
O'Keeffe and Stieglitz finally got married, but she had no use for the traditional role of wife and mother. Eventually, they chose to lead separate lives. O'Keeffe visited the deserts of the Southwest and decided that landscape matched her sense of freedom and independence.
As soon as I saw it. That was my country. I'd never seen anything like it before, but it fitted to me exactly. It's something that's in the air. It's just different. The sky is different. The stars are different. The wind is different.
O'Keeffe, both in her life and in her work, had carved out a new place for women in art.
I have been very fortunate. Much more fortunate than most people. For instance, I can imagine myself being a much better painter and nobody paying any attention to me at all. But it happens that the thing that I've done is to have been in touch with my times so that people have liked it. Some people seem to be luckier than others. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've taken hold of anything that came along that I wanted.